ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Little roller up along first. Behind the back. Gets slow up there. Here comes Knight in the next one. See you in Pittsburgh. Can't wait. All the band is out on the field. He's going to go in the field. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone.
You're tuned into Game On with Josh Silverberg and Eric Bowe. Talking all things sports. It's
Game on! Yeah, game on!
Game On, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday to all of you out there. You are listening and watching us on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network every single Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check us out on worldwidesportsradio.com, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and everywhere you get all of your wonderful streaming stations and so much more. Have a lot to get to tonight. Former Rangers President GM and Islanders GM Neil Smith is going to join us at 6:30. He's going to debate who is better, Henrik Lundqvist or Tim Thomas. It's going to be a great question that we're going to get into with him. No, we're going to discuss the Stanley Cup final between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Is Connor McJesus enough to get the Oilers over the hump, or is Florida just too deep to be able where they can ride the wave? The Boston Celtics winning last night. We'll get into that. Juan Soto's elbow injury. Why it's not a cause for concern, but the Yankees should definitely still monitor it. Dan Hurley, what's he going to do? And do trainers, by the way, want the Belmont, when it's fixed, to go to 1.25 miles instead of the 1.5 miles? We'll talk about that. Speedy Petey is here. Speedy, how are you, sir?
Doing all right. I had a bit of a scare earlier this week with my grandmother, but she's doing okay. Luckily,
that's
now.
Good to hear. Yes.
Yeah, so she collapsed badly. I had to be taken away in an ambulance. So,
that's definitely not good.
Glad she's doing better though. She was able to come back that night, but a bit of a scare. A lot for my uncle to have to deal with as well, and he's been really with her a lot this week.
Well,
so,
that's good.
Glad she's feeling better, and just making me stressed throughout the week. Obviously,
I completely understand that, and like I said, condolences are that she's doing okay. Glad for you, and prayers to your family, of course, and everything like that. But Eric Bowe is not here tonight. He is at an engagement. So we have a special guest. I hope Snug is here. Is Snug in the stream?
I will find that out in a bit. I just opened it myself.
Before we do anything, just make sure the man is there. There he is. My father, Nelson Silverberg. He is back this week, filling in, guest hosting for Eric Bowe. He's dying to know what Neil Smith thinks. Tim Thomas or Henrik Lundqvist? Which one is better?
I'm not going to ask him that question.
How are you, Dad?
You can ask it to him. Who has won more awards?
Oh my God, here we go. Well, we'll ask Neil Smith about that after 6:30. We'll get into that. I don't know if he's gonna play. I don't know if he's gonna play the bias card. Speedy's interviewed him before.
No, he's not far from biased.
And it's stuck in the stream.
I don't see him. I just see
that
him.
Is ridiculous.
The only one I see in the stream is your mother right now.
That is absolutely disgusting and insulting. Well, no,
Don't
because
call
everybody.
her. Don't call her Josh's mother. Just call her the viewer.
Yeah, really, Speedy. Come on, make it obvious. No, but people. Well, Speedy knows we get the viewership on YouTube and everything like that as well. So that's what we're learning more about. And again, and I said it. Congratulations to my mother yesterday. Had a retirement party yesterday. It was fabulous and fantastic. My wife, my son were there. My brother, of course, there as well. It was a great time, a lot of fun. A little late for my liking. I'm more of an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy during the week. But listen, you get through it. It's just another week and another week closer to summer. But we have a lot to get into, and we'll get into it right now in the leadoff spot. NBA Finals Game 1 happens. The Boston Celtics beating up on the Dallas Mavericks last night, winning by 18. Kristaps Porzingis comes back. He's different. Speedy, I think me and you both picked Boston to
I
win
had
the
Boston
series.
6, yeah.
And I think Eric had Dallas winning it.
Uh-huh.
He's on the Luka train. He's riding it. Listen, it is what it is. But there's something about when Kyrie plays in Boston, his powers. It's the kryptonite. That's to Kyrie Irving playing in that place because he never performed well when he was a Celtic or when he was against them in his past time with Cleveland and all those other teams. But now he's trying to get revenge. He's not getting it. Look, Porzingis adds a different element to this team. We know that his height. He's he spreads the floor. And the thing of it is that what he now has become is more of this agile defensive player. He was always a big block shot kind of guy with the Knicks, somewhat with Dallas, but now he's added a little bit more into his game. He wasn't ever able to really be a big time rebounder. I remember Dad and I used to talk about that. With his size, he should be rebounding a lot more, using his muscle a lot more. Speedy, I think I've talked about that with you in the past. He never used his body enough to where his strengths were. And now he's starting to use it. I think listen, this is not the greatest coaching clinic you're going to get between Joe Mazzulla and Jason Kidd. It's not really one where it's Pat Riley versus Phil Jackson. You're not getting that. But what you are going to get is stars galore in the series. You got Luka and Kyrie. You got, I would say Tatum is a superstar. Brown is a star, not a superstar. But Boston has more of a depth. That I think has more depth than Dallas does. And then what I thought Stan Van Gundy said last night was he thinks that Luka and Kyrie are the greatest backcourt in the history of the NBA. Sorry, that's not correct. If you don't win a championship, it's not true then. Thompson and Curry won a championship together. That's the I could go back to the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and all those. I'm not even going to touch on those. But I'm talking recent time frame. Those guys were the best. I'm just saying, to me, when I look at the whole thing, it's a matter of where we are in the sense of with what Van Gundy said last night. I don't agree with it. If you don't win a championship, you're not the greatest backcourt. But, Dad, what were your takes on watching that game last? Because I know you picked Boston too, I believe, in the series. You think Porzingis it's just a huge element that he adds to that Celtic team.
Yeah, I'm a big Porzingis fan, but I won't take too much out of this game since in all these series this year, there's been huge swings going from game to game. Like you would say, oh, the game's over. Look what what OKC did to Denver, and then Denver the next game would wipe them out. You know what I mean? There's just so much rests upon the quality of each team's three-point shooting, and if either one of them goes south, all of a sudden the score goes dramatically in the other direction. But I do think, obviously, Boston has a better five than Dallas.
Well, you added two. I mean, you added obviously with Derek White, and that's
Brown.
It's a lot. I think Dallas has some pretty good inside scoring. We've seen that in this playoff, especially with the alley-oops that they've gotten from their inside guys. But I just don't think it matches. Now, look, Boston won Game 1 against Golden State 2 years ago in the finals, and they lost the series, and I believe they lost in, 5 games? It was 5 games they lost. They lost the next 4.
That's right.
So it's a matter of, Jason Tatum, he doesn't have to be the MVP. He just needs to be able to spread the floor, spread the ball around, get to the open guys. Jaylen Brown, be the sidekick that he's supposed to be. But then, of course, you have White in there who could do a lot of damage for the Celtics team. The key is Porzingis. He had missed 2.5 months, comes in yesterday, shoots the game. I think he shot, 7 and 9 yesterday. Looked fantastic. Had a nice big block in the game. They weren't able to match the defense or the intensity that Boston was going for them. They were able to spread the floor because Porzingis just had a different element. He's the X factor in the series. The only way I think Dallas is going to win these games is if their backcourt scores 60 points. Minimum.
Well, the key, look at it. The two best players in this whole series are on Dallas. We have to admit, right? So it's a matter if these two players can really just carry the rest of their team. And that's what it comes down to. It's really simple. I'm not a huge, I think Boston is a very good team. But, we're at a time where everybody keeps saying this is the greatest ever. This is the greatest ever. We're always talking about this is the greatest backcourt. They're a very nice back. Dallas has a very good backcourt. Would I take Michael Jordan over and another guy over the backcourt that they got? Yeah, I would take that. You know what I mean? Like, we've had better backcourts. I could go back to guys like Earl Monroe and Clyde Frazier. as silly as it sounds, that's like going back.
Sure. A lot of guys will do that. That's the reality of it. And look, Boston shot. You look at it. When you look at the numbers, the 47 to 41 field goal percentage, close. Boston was the edge on that. 14 to 11. Boston had more turnovers. And then you look at the rebounds. Boston only had 4 more than Dallas did. But the key was Dallas only shot 25% from the 3-point line, whereas Boston shot near 39%.
And that's the nature of that difference.
That's a massive difference in that one for sure, and everything like that. So to me, I looked at it in this perspective. When you look at where they are trying to go, the Celtics, they just have to stay the course. Stay the course. Sit with what they're doing. Don't change anything. Now, I believe Porzingis came off the bench yesterday. They didn't want to throw him into the fire. If they feel that that's the best route for them to go, then I would go that route 100% and do it that way. That's my opinion on that. Like I said, I think just Porzingis to me, and then don't forget Drew Holiday as well. Drew Holiday is going to play defense all over Kyrie Irving as well. Drew Holiday is one of the best defensive guards in the league, if not the best defensive guard in the league. That's the big difference right there is Kyrie, who shot 6 of 19 for 12 points in that game yesterday. Drew Holiday had a big say in that one. While Holiday only had 12 points, not known for the big-time scoring. He's averaging, 18 to 20 points a game, not much. But again, you also look at this. And Porzingis, who shot 8 of 13 yesterday, and if he could give you that constantly off the bench, Tatum shoots, gets you 16 points, not a great shooter, but he was able to give you 11 rebounds, he gave you 5 assists. That's going to win you basketball games because, again, it goes to the depth position of what the Boston Celtics add, whereas the Mavericks just don't now. Look, Washington and Jones have had some nice playoffs as well, and Gafford too. This is a whole different ball game when you look at it because we all say, with the Celtics, where we are right now is they've had an easy road, right? They played a Pacers team that, had the easiest road of anybody, the Pacers. They played the Bucks with no stars. They played the Knicks with no stars and everything. Well, not stars, but guys that were hurt. So that's the difference I think that adds to it is you legitimately got the best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if Dallas was the best team in the Western Conference. There was Minnesota. There was Denver. There was this. I don't know. Boston was legitimately the best team in the conference from the day the season started to now.
Yeah, but I think the first thing you said was the key. You said Kyrie was 6 for 19.
Yeah,
he didn't play. He did not have a good game. Would you be shocked if tomorrow night Kyrie goes 12 for 18 and pulls them 28, 29 points?
No, but I would be shocked.
I
wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't. I'm not saying the series is over. It's not over. It's game 1. Let's not.
But I'm just saying
on the back and everything like that. But I will say, Drew Holiday adds it's a different dynamic to what he adds to the Celtics with his defensive presence.
But he's unstoppable. But he's unstoppable. He's unstoppable.
When he's unstoppable, you can make the case he's the best guard in the NBA.
Right.
That's
so I'm saying,
it is. The keys they got to get 60 combined from both Luka and Kyrie. That's what they got to get.
I mean, they got to get the assist numbers were crazy. I mean, Kyrie's numbers were ridiculous. His assist numbers were terrible. There wasn't one facet of his game that was like Kyrie-like. He was just awful. Now, you could say a lot of it has to do with the defense, but a lot of it has to do with, I'll just say it's a bad game.
And you can't see a layoff, too. They both had the same amount of time off.
Yeah, no, it's not that. I'm going to put it at a bad game, although I think Boston's going to win the series, but I think Dallas is going to put a better show on the board tomorrow.
I think it will go 6. I'd say
possibly.
6. I think 6 is the route I think they're going to go.
But if Dallas wins tomorrow, and I'm not saying they will, all of a sudden, so, people want to take snapshots. It's the first game. I understand it. I like Boston, but I think Dallas is a better team than they showed.
Yep.
They beat good teams. I mean, look at the road they had to go through. They beat good teams. They had to beat good teams every round.
Yeah, it's about Dallas. Yeah, I mean, look at Dallas's run. What they do? Minnesota, was it OKC, and then in the first round, I believe it was
Clippers.
Yeah, I mean,
Clippers, OKC, and Minnesota. Yeah, I mean that's about as good of it. Whereas Boston went through
Indiana.
Boston went through Indiana, Miami without Butler, and Cleveland that lost half their team during the series.
Indiana without Halliburton.
Yeah, I mean you could make that case like Miami no Butler, Indiana no Halliburton, and Cleveland without half the team of Mitchell and who else did they lost?
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen was yep.
I mean, come on. The Knicks almost beat Indiana. I mean, look at that. They didn't have anybody.
Nobody. Let's get to it. Continuing with the basketball theme, Dan Hurley and his family traveled to LA today to meet with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka. The reported rumor money out there, $20 million could be on the table.
He's not going. He's not going.
He says, Dad says he's not going. Speedy thinks he is going. Would you say yes, Speedster?
It's very Laker-esque.
It's very likely. And if he's bringing the family with him to LA, that's not a hop, skip, but a jump on the plane. A couple of miles. That's going across country from Connecticut to Los Angeles. It's the Lakers. It's a storied franchise. It's the fan base. You look at this team. Not the greatest team out there, but they're also doing this for the future of the Los Angeles Lakers when LeBron and Davis leave. $20 million, I believe, would that make him the highest paid coach in the league?
Yes, I'm sure.
And when you look at it, I think when you're being offered $20 million to go coach the Los Angeles Lakers and go live in sunny California, it's a very tough way to say no to a franchise that has the history of the Los Angeles Lakers. Listen,
recent history, right? Not the recent history.
They did win a championship a couple of years ago, but yes.
Okay.
Listen, Brad Stevens, everybody said he was going to stay at Butler forever. Got a big contract extension from them. Boom, goes to the Celtics. And now look at what he's done. And you look at college coaches recently that have come. Billy Donovan did not do a bad job in OKC. Unfortunately, he's in a really tough spot in Chicago right now. They can't get anything right. Fred Hoiberg? Mm-hmm. Iowa State coach, did not really work out for him very well. But again, the Chicago Bulls are going to try to run it back again for the umpteenth time this year, thinking they can win something with the core that they have, which Zach LaVine has said, I want out. So at times it does work. And then, of course, you got Brad Stevens, who was very successful. And now he's the president and GM of the Boston Celtics. So recently, you could say it has kind of worked with Stevens. It worked with Donovan. Hoiberg with the exception. But again, it's also the organization that you're going to that has the structure in place. Now, the obvious thing is with Dan Hurley, are guys like LeBron James, Anthony Davis going to fall in line with his work ethic first, hard-nosed practice second, coaching mentality, yelling, screaming third? Is that going to be tolerated by these guys? Because the report is LeBron is behind this. LeBron wants this hire to be done. If LeBron wants it, and the Lakers are offering him $20 million to the best college coach in the league right now, he's going to probably take it, because the truth of the matter is if it doesn't work out for Hurley, he could just go back to college whenever he wants. That's the reality. UConn for the time being, is it going to hurt UConn? Maybe. I think what they're going to do is they would just promote somebody from his staff to be the head coach, and you try to keep it falling in line. I mean, we can talk about that with Duke, right? With Coach K and John Shire. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's
great. So, everything like that.
Can I just say, I will say one thing. Everybody keeps saying that the reason Hurley might want to jump is because of the nature of the college business now, where guys can just jump anytime they want to, and the amount of money that's being spent on players to lure them to other colleges and stuff like that. And it's a full-time job being a college coach now in any sport. And my reaction to that is, yeah, but Hurley is the guy that's getting all the guys. Like, while all these coaches have to keep their guys, where do you think these guys want to go? These guys want to go to Connecticut. They want to be coached by him. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the premier locations. How many colleges in basketball do you think a kid would want to go if he had a choice? There's probably about like 6 schools if he had a choice, and one of them is going to be UConn. Hurley probably has to do very little. If anything, he's probably overwhelmed by players that want to come to Connecticut, and all he has to do is say, pick and choose which ones he wants.
But he has gone on record as saying the NBA is a dream for him to go to and try. And again,
not necessarily yet.
When you're being offered $20 million to go coach a historically good franchise, I think it's a very difficult thing to turn down, because the truth of the matter is, what if another team in the NBA, they don't have that kind of organization background? The Charlotte Hornets offer him a job. The Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors. That's not what the Los Angeles Lakers are. They're not even close to the successes those guys. Not to mention, he'd be the highest paid head coach to be in Southern California on a team that, I can tell you this, they'll give him, if he needs something, they will get Pelinka and Bus will give it to him.
How? They're capped out. They don't have draft picks. They're historically a great team. They're not a great team.
You get veteran depth players. That's what you do. I mean, they went to the conference finals just 2 years ago.
I understand.
It wasn't like they were they've laid down and died. I mean, they went to the conference finals just 2 years ago. And when you look at that, now they didn't win the series, obviously, but every game with Denver was tight in that series.
Yeah, close. That's right.
Close. Every game was tight. Remember, I think they're actually in every game in this series against Denver in the first round. I think, Speedy, if I'm not mistaken, I think they led in the fourth quarter of every game. Yeah. And I think they're the first team in NBA history, I think, to lead in every game of the fourth quarter and lose.
And then Denver got knocked out in the next round by a better team.
That's what I'm saying. So to me, I just wonder what is it? Maybe it is. Maybe, like I said, I think it's going to be a very difficult thing for Dan Hurley to turn down, because the truth of the matter is, and everything like that. To me, when I really look at how Dan Hurley is as a coach, he's the best head coach right now in college basketball. No question about it. He stays there again, I think he'll win a third straight championship. But the question now is, does Dan want to do something more? And if Hurley says, oh, man, I won back-to-back championships with UConn. Now if I go to the Lakers, I win there. Now we're cooking with gas, because my legacy plastered all over the place. And it's not a crazy thought. Now, look, LeBron's not a spring chicken. He's 40 years old. Still a really good player. Anthony Davis, not a spring chicken. Still a really good player. I mean, these are not slouches that are just bad players. They're good players.
But they're not championship players.
I don't know if
I'm sorry,
I don't know if LeBron isn't anymore. I don't know.
I mean, if you put LeBron on the Knicks, are they a championship team? Yeah, probably if he plays it. But he himself does not make a championship team anymore. He just can't be the number one for 80 games anymore. He just can't make it anymore.
Really quickly. By the way, Frankie says, what happens when you're delusional with Josh? You hang around him too much. Jesus, Frankie, if you're going to insult me, can you at least spell it correctly? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. I mean, my God, can you at least spell your words right? That's why he's a Met fan. Jeez, if I'm a Met fan, oh, my God, what do you spell? Like, oh, God, you're like a Chicago White Sox fan. God.
Did he spell delusional wrong? Which word did he spell wrong?
He spelled he wrote WHENUIU. And then before that, he spelled field FEILD. What the heck did he spell? Oh, Feild. He spelled field. My God.
At least he got delusional right. At least he got delusional right, and that was the tough word.
Hey, somebody got bopped in the head 3-4 too many times. Let's continue right now. I wanted to get your thoughts with the Belmont Stakes coming up. I know you're a big horse racing guy, Dad, for years. You had a lot to say. You saw all the Triple Crown winners and everything like that. The report coming out is because obviously they're fixing up Belmont. That's why it's in Saratoga. They didn't want to do it at Aqueduct because Aqueduct is a dump now. That's what it is. It's abandoned at this point. They do small races there. It's not what it was. But a lot of the trainers are now coming out saying that they want the 1.25 for the new Belmont.
They want the 1.5 miles.
They want the 1.5 miles. That's what I'm saying. They don't want the big track anymore. They want to have it the smaller track now, like Saratoga has it.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know why they have to do 1.25 miles. Obviously, Belmont is like one of the largest racetracks in actual circumference in the nation. So 1.5 miles is you go around 2 turns and finish. So I don't know how Saratoga, which is much smaller, would be able to do it. I guess they don't want the horses to go around 3 turns. They don't want the horses
to get hurt anymore. But I just think when that takes stuff away from the past Triple Crown winners,
it's like COVID champions.
Who was the greatest horse you ever saw? Was the one I remember you showed him to me on the video.
Well, Secretariat's the greatest horse that ever lived.
He used to go. You would see Secretary, and then there'll be nobody else on the screen at that point.
Yeah, it was the greatest horse that ever. He still holds the fastest record for the Belmont. And the fastest 1.5 miles in history in racing.
I just like busting Frankie's chops.
And you're talking about, 50 years later. 50 years later, he still holds all the track records for these races. So he was, what are you going to say? He was the greatest horse race that ever.
I'm just saying, though, but
horse that ever lived.
To me, like when that takes something away, if these.
It's like COVID championships and all these things.
American Pharaoh was not the recent. Who was the one that won it after American Pharaoh? It was Justify. Those two. But I was at the race where American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown.
Right.
And you're taking something away, I feel like, from those horses that accomplished on that big track to get to that final stretch and win. I feel like that's gonna. Now, a lot of what I'm also hearing is that there's a lot of people. One that are happy that what was it? Mystic Dan, thank you. Mystic Dan did not win the Preakness because Saratoga wasn't going to be able to handle the crowd control.
It's a small track.
It's a small, but it's also like today, for example, they had over 600 people there. They're going to have a bunch of people.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah.
Who was it? I believe I forgot his name. Randy Zito, I think his name was. Something Zito was his name. I heard him on the radio today. He was like, if it was a Triple Crown chase, they wouldn't be able to handle the crowd.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able.
There could be too many people.
The interesting thing about the Belmont, just as an aside, is that the Belmont is the Kentucky Derby. The winner gets a lot of money and notoriety and all this. But I think the Belmont winner is like the breeding winner. Like that's the one that after they retire, horses want to breed with, because so few horses have the endurance to run 1.5 miles that a horse that wins the Belmont is sometimes the most valuable of all the Triple Crown winners because
100%, yeah.
He won at the 1.5 mile distance. So it's an interesting thing. And
when I saw American Pharaoh, the thing is that he led the entire race from the start to the finish.
Yeah, it's very typical. That's not unusual. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. That they get out in front, they set the fractions, and they set the fractions that they like, and they're able to last the full 1.5 miles. It's interesting. Yeah.
I thought, like I said, I just thought that was interesting topics. Like I said, I know you know about horse racing, but it's no Triple Crown winner this year. It's going to be at Saratoga, I believe, again next year as well. And then it'll be back at Belmont for all the new renovation. Everything's getting rebuilt there, everything like that. Who knows? Maybe Lyle will have his dream and actually have a winter classic at that Belmont racetrack. The track that only has like half of a stadium there that they could put that in.
Oh,
because that made sense with the grandstand.
That's right.
It's not a full round stadium. You can't have a Winter Classic there. Just say you can't have a portion of people in the grandstand and watch a hockey game. It's not how it works. But, it is what it is. Juan Soto, inflammation. We found this out. If it wasn't for the delay, he would have been fine. Would have been okay. And everything like that. Took an imaging. Everything looks good. It says inflammation, which means you give him a couple of Tylenol, give him a couple of Advil, take the swelling down a little bit, maybe sit him down. The only stinky part is of course, this is happening during the Dodger series. That's the worst part because you want to have, I know it's only June, but you kind of want to have a barometer of with the fully healthy Dodgers versus the fully healthy Yankees because this could be the World Series where these two teams are right now and everything like that. And you're not going to see Soto today. Maybe you'll see him tomorrow. I mean, look, it would be something if the Yankees just get crushed today by Yamamoto, and then I'll say Scott Boras says to the Yankees, you see what happened when he by Klein didn't play one day? See what happened? You missed him and everything like that, but you never know. To me, they dodged the bullet. Obviously, I didn't think anything serious was going to be of it anyway, and I was hoping that because he's on my fantasy team, so I was hoping that big time.
You're looking to trade him. You calling me to trade the guy.
The moment I heard injury yesterday, I said, I'll trade him. I said, because the Yankees have had bad luck with injury. Should I trade him now? Because the bad luck, you know what I'm saying? To me, I was like, do I trade him for Fernando Tatis Jr. and Andres Jimenez? Because that was what I was offered. And Speedy's looking at me like I got 20 heads. Like, why would you do that trade? Right, Speedy?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't do it.
I know, but
I mean, if that's the best deal you're going to give me.
when Neil Smith comes on, you should ask him how to be a general manager.
Well, no. Listen, to me, my personal opinion. Well, is he even here yet? He's not even here.
He's not here yet.
Yeah, exactly. So
Contacting him.
if he comes on, we don't know if he is going to come on
Okay.
and everything. But to me, he had just traded Ellie De La Cruz. So if he offered me Tatis Jr. and De La Cruz, I would have said possibly.
Yeah, you would have to consider that.
I would have to consider that then, because you're talking about stolen bases, home runs, not the greatest batting average from the two of them, but you get RBIs, home runs, and stolen bases in those two categories.
That's 3 categories.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing, but he had just traded De La Cruz. Andres Jimenez, I have Hae-Sung Kim, who's not having a terrible season. So I was fine, and I just picked up a new third baseman. Bregman's starting to play well. I did just pick up a new third baseman on my fantasy team, Mark Vientos. He is cruising.
That's the end. You killed it.
No, listen.
You did it. You just did it.
It's actually funny because remember before this, I kept comparing. Oh God, who did I say Vientos? I thought was going to be the next. I thought he'd be the next Troy Glaus. That's what I thought. I thought he'd be the next Troy Glaus.
That sounds right.
I see. Look at the numbers between the two of them in the minors. Look at their batting stance. Look at their approach at the plate. And everybody was saying that's a Troy Glaus comparison. It's interesting because Glaus had the same concept of his batting stance, the way he approached the game, good amount of strikeouts, not great defensively, but was able to be a clutch player at times. Vientos has been that so far. It sounds like you hope Vientos is their third baseman of the future, or he's the first baseman, and they trade Pete Alonso. Which
that's what's going to happen.
That could possibly happen. But having said that, and everything of that nature. Oh, I love it. Snug kisses my dad's ass so much. It's embarrassing.
That's it. Look, you gotta say the right things.
No, he's talking about you saying everything correctly, and I'm like, oh, what?
Hey, look, I agree. That's all. If I agree, that's coming out of my mouth.
I'm just saying. I mean, look at it in this perspective. If the Mets found their first baseman in Vientos and they could trade Pete Alonso for prospects, I would trade him to Baltimore. I think I said that on the show last week. I think the Orioles would be a good spot.
I don't care where they trade him. Just get.
No, you got to get a good package back.
Pitching. They're going to get good prospects, but they're not going to get a boatload. That's
Baltimore
for sure.
has that. Baltimore has it. I've said the Yankees.
They need pitching prospects.
And I've said for Spencer Jones.
Okay.
For the outfielder, Spencer Jones. I said that because now you have your left fielder of the future right there in Jones, a power hitter. Now you have your middle of the order, Haas, as I like to say.
Why would the Yankees do it, though?
That's what I think. Aaron said the same thing. Like, why would the Yankees do Jones? Because here's the thing. And it does sound crazy, but when you look at it, it's if you look at a lineup, right, of Soto, Judge. Oh, Speedy, you could add that ad. That was good. I like that. You can add that again. Oh, look at that. Check out the World Sports state-of-the-art website. I love it. Good job, Speedy. I love it. Free ad, free promotion.
I gotta go in on that. I gotta look in.
Yeah, you should be going in on it.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that.
I'm just saying. So to me, when I look at
That's a lot of strikeouts. You put Alonso in the middle of that.
well, no, hold on. But if you put Soto, Judge, Alonso, and Stanton, how you be in that lineup?
Yeah, it's just too much power and not enough guys on base. I mean, you're just going to get a lot of
Speedy even said he would love that idea, right? Speedy put Alonso in the Yankee uniform. How that would look for the Yankees?
It's a lot of one-run home runs.
Would you rather Pete Alonso or Yordan Alvarez?
I'd rather have Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez is lefty in that park. I think would be better.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I'm saying like,
Alonso
would you rather
guy. You know, I'm not a big Alonso guy anyway.
Because Alvarez is more of a DH. Alonso plays first base.
Yeah, and Alvarez has been injury prone too, so there's risk with that as well.
You know what I'm saying?
I think he's probably a more complete player when he's healthy. But
what does Snug mean by what are your favorite Little Debbie snacks? Do you know what those are, Dad? The Little Debbie snacks?
Those are like competitors of Hostess and stuff
Snug wants to know what your favorite ones are. He's probably on the drugs tonight, but he wants to know what your favorite.
I don't know if I was into Little Debbie's. I was more into like the Hostess pies, like the apple pies.
Those are the best.
Yeah, give me those
cherry
apple
pies.
Yeah, the pies.
They had a ton of calories in them.
Yeah.
That thing would ooze out cherry just filling, and then you'd be like, this is what I mean. Now it's going to kill me. And everything like that. Well, Speedy, would you want to take a quick break for a minute? It just doesn't sound like you're probably going to be here tonight.
I suppose.
I got 40 minutes of questions. He's not going to be here?
He saw you were here tonight instead of Eric, and he said, boy, this guy, this mother bleeper's going to ask me about Tim Thomas being better than Lone. I ain't going.
I repeat the question. Who won more awards, Tim Thomas
or
or
you know
Henrik
what? I have an idea.
Lundqvist?
Dad, you and I have debated this for so long, and it's just nauseating, and it gives me a headache. So I'm going to have Speedy, who's a fellow Ranger fan.
He's a Ranger fan. I'm not
no.
do
So
this.
It doesn't matter. Tim Thomas only did struggle. He only did well in a smaller sample size.
Yeah, I didn't even have to tell Speedy to draw.
He won two Vezina trophies. Two.
Okay, and his peak value was still in a shorter period of time.
That's because he was so good. He didn't need 40 years like Henrik Lundqvist to compile his nonsensical win total.
So from your logic, I guess. Let's see. Tim Lincecum is a better pitcher all time than I guess. Tim Lincecum is a better pitcher all time than Sandy Koufax. From your logic.
How many years did Sandy Koufax pitch?
10, I believe.
No, less. See, you just tripped yourself. I can't believe you tripped yourself. No, Sandy Koufax did not have that many seasons, unless I'm wrong, and then I feel bad. I don't think he has.
You two talk. I'll look it up. This is fun because I don't think he's coming tonight. So let's.
I think
I'm looking.
The real question is, who is better, Sandy Koufax and Nolan Ryan?
Oh,
Cross sport debates.
Who's better, Nolan Ryan or Sandy Koufax? That's a good one.
Well, Nolan Ryan, I know, is one of the strikeout leaders. I know Koufax.
Right. He was a compiler. He was a great pitcher. Phenomenal.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He played 12 years.
Sandy Koufax had pitched for 12 years?
Right.
Is it for the Dodgers?
Yeah, he was an all-star from 61 to 66.
I apologize. I knew I shouldn't say anything bad to you. I know you're always right.
Speedy's us. Next week we're gonna. You know what I want to get my big thing. I want to get Speedy to debate Chris Mad Dog Russo. I'd love to see that between those two with the numbers.
Oh yeah, that's statistical.
Oh my God, the analytics galore between.
Yeah.
Oh God, make my head spin. I lose my spot here at the network then.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. But you know, even with that, like Tim Lincecum was a great pitcher, right? So there are pitchers that probably had better
What about
careers.
Cliff Lee? How long did Cliff Lee pitched a while, but how long was Cliff Lee like dominant for?
Yeah, it wasn't great in the beginning of his career.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Cleveland. No, he didn't have a home. He was all over the place. Remember, he was traded a couple of times. Wasn't he in Montreal at one point? He was a
He was
prospect
part
there.
of the trade. Yeah, he was part of the Bartolo Colon trade.
Bartolo Colon trade. I believe it was what?
Brandon Phillips.
Grady Sizemore,
yeah.
Brandon Phillips, and Cliff Lee for Bartolo Cologne. Oh, that would have saved the freaking Expos.
How about Tim Thomas and Tim Lincecum?
Oh gosh, the great Tim short peak debates.
Let me ask you this:
Who's the greatest Tim?
Let me ask you this: does Tim Thomas and Tim Lincecum, when they get together, do they have a picnic in Central Park or hang up the
We could have Tim Wakefield and Tim Thomas. We could have like a whole Boston thing. We could do.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Wakefield, God may rest in peace, just passed away.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas had a slightly better peak overall amount of years
Then what?
than Lincecum.
Oh, you were actually looking it up.
I did.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, it's like about 7 like top seasons. Lincecum had about 4.
I don't take anything away from. I hate the term King Henry, but the truth of the matter is,
Speedy knows I hate it. How much do I despise when they call him that? I can't stand it. First off, I just want to point this out. And we had Tim Peel on last week. And, to me, I was in the minority. Speedy always looks at me like I got 20 heads on when I say this. I was in the minority of not wanting to keep Lundqvist, of keeping Cam Talbot. See there, I get the smirk of like, you're an idiot. But I'm just saying, I said Talbot was the reason, am I right or wrong, when they won that President's Trophy in 2015, when Lundqvist got hit in the throat with the puck, was he not one of the main reasons that they were there to the President's Trophy with Talbot? Right or wrong, Speedy?
I mean, yeah, no, I understand that logic. I think,
and if they would have kept it, you know what the haul would have been? They would have gone back for Lundqvist.
No, I get that.
Oh,
I just
God.
didn't like the haul back they got for Talbot, though.
Yeah, no, they didn't get a haul back for Talbot because freaking what's his name? Was it Sather at the time?
Yeah,
he didn't want to trade him to an Eastern Conference team, so he took a lesser.
I know.
I forget who it was.
No, it was Edmonton. They traded him.
They traded him to Everton. They got a second-round pick when I believe at the time. Who was it? It was, I think, Detroit offered a first-round pick, and he said no because he didn't want to trade him to an Eastern Conference team.
who's better, Henry Lundqvist or Shesterkin?
Oh, no.
I'm asking you.
He's touching me
If
on
you
that
say
one.
Shesterkin, then you're done. You're out.
Speedy, what am I going to say? I said Speedy knows what I'm going to say. When you look at the trajectory of the two of them,
see,
look at the path that they're on.
That's right.
I would say.
Say it.
I would say, I think Lundqvist has actually been the two of them haven't had great. I shouldn't say great teams. They've had good teams around them.
Lundqvist has had pretty good defensive teams around him.
Listen, and I just want he just has to answer yes or no. I think the issue was when Lundqvist was at his peak in his 20s, right? Mid-late 20s. That was his peak.
Right.
The problem was the Rangers didn't build the teams right. They were getting over the hill, Brendan Shanahan's, Scott Gomez's, Mike
Jaromir Jagr at the time.
Jaromir Jagr won an MVP, but I mean it was like
Michael Nylander.
Nylander, Marty Straka, guys that were at the time obviously good players, but over the hill at that point. And unfortunately, when they started to build the team the right way with like the McDonoughs and certain guys, the Girardis and the Stalls, and they had Zuccarello and good players, but not great players, but depth stout players. Unfortunately, Lundqvist was in his mid-30s at that point. He was like 33, right? When he went to the Cup, he was 32?
Something like that.
So that was
then the defense got old after
the defense got old after that. That was the problem because they went to Tortorella. The problem is Vigneault never changed the defensive style that Tortorella brought, which was block shots and just do it that way.
Yeah, but how many years did he have with Tortorella that really he made that's where his reputation was really made?
he was there. I think he was on with Torch for 4 years. But the problem is with Torch, they only had the 1 year in 2012 where that team was the number one seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, but defensively,
if you look at that team on paper, that team offensively was atrocious.
yeah, but that's because
Gabbard was their best offensive player. It was an atrocious team. Ryan, I think Callahan was their second leading scorer in that team. They had nothing on that team. That team was built by the defense of Stahl, Girardi, McDonough, and Lundqvist.
That's how he played. That's what he played. That's his style of playing.
No, but the offense was atrocious. That's the thing. And then when they finally got offense, when they got Rick Nash and they got Zibanejad and they got Zuccarello and Hagelin and Brassard and all these guys and even Panarin, he was already in his 30s at that point. So the consistency wasn't able to stay status quo with him. Whereas with Shesterkin, they're building this. He's 27. He's already been to 2 conference finals in 3 years. So they're building this the right way with him. It's not even him that now you worry about. Now it's the core guys you're worrying about. The Zibanejads, the Panarins, those guys who are in their 30s. And we'll get to the Cup final in a second. But that's the difference. Drury, I mean, did he really do it? I mean, it was more, I guess, well, some of them, right? Like, I guess Drury kind of helped it Speedy more. It was more, I mean, he was the assistant GM. I guess we was kind of say, but it was more Gordon and actually Gordon kind of put this team in hell with the Trouba contract. Gordon kind of screwed up.
I wouldn't give him that much
credit. Meanwhile, Gordon's drowning in Montreal right now with their first round pick. Who did they take in the first round this past year? The European skater.
Yeah, Yaroslav or what?
Yaroslav, the kid stinks. God almighty. He always takes the European skaters, Gordon. It's insane how he just doesn't get it right. Does not get it right. And also that's why and the other thing too is that, you know, with the coaching that Lundqvist had, he had Alain Vigneault, who's not a great head coach.
All right, but he's not a detriment. He's not horrible.
Let's call it like it is. He wasn't the most ideal playoff coach you'd want. And then he was given David Quinn, which was a disaster. And then Golan came and he was gone. And that was the thing too, is he never had great coaching other than Torts. He had, I mean, oh my God, who was it right before Torts? What the hell was it? Rooney, what's his name? Tom Rennie.
Tom Rennie.
Yeah, Tom Rennie. Tom Rennie was the king of having a 1-goal lead with like 20 seconds in a game, and they would pull the goalie, and the other team would score. Tom Rennie was the king of doing that, and he would always put the over the hill guys. Like he would put I'll give the Rangers this. So the Rangers did get screwed with Chris Drury. Kind of got screwed because when Chris Drury left Buffalo to go sign with the Rangers, it was supposed to be a package deal. Daniel Briere was supposed to come with him because they were best friends to the Rangers with Drury. And at the last second, Philadelphia upped the offer, and Briere signed with the Flyers, and the Rangers panicked, and they overpaid for Scott Gomez because there was nobody else left on the market, and they didn't know what to do. So they overpaid for Scott Gomez, and Briere and Drury were supposed to come together because Buffalo had just beaten them in the second round the year before, where the Rangers were the better team in that series too, and it's so...
Okay. How many seasons did he play for the Rangers, Lundqvist?
How many seasons did he play, Speedy? He came up in what, 05?
04? So that would be about 14, I believe. 15.
That's
He's going to say he won one Vezina. That's what he's going to say. He won one Vezina and 14.
No, I don't care. That already is not impressive.
He had to go up against Marty Brodeur, and he had to go.
And Tim Thomas won a couple of too. So it was Tim Thomas.
Well, Tim Thomas also had better teams.
Look, and how many teams? What was the D? So he took him to the finals once or twice?
Lundqvist once.
One final.
And that team, and it's funny, the team that lost in that final, I might have just because I'm a Ranger fan, that team that lost in the final should have won that final. They had a lead in the third period every game except for game 3.
And Lundqvist bit the apple every game.
No, it actually was more Dan Girardi for the Super Bowl. He said he did. Dan Girardi cost him that, and there wasn't such thing as goalie interference looking at that time. That was the problem. When Dustin Brown decided to forecheck Lundqvist into the crease, and
Ranger fans just have a love with this guy, so I'm not going to go into it.
No, listen, I'm not a fan. I don't have a love fest for Lundqvist. I respect Lundqvist. I think Shesterkin's going to be the better goalie.
But I think if you just take that,
I think Shesterkin's going to win at least 2 cups.
Whoa!
I do. I think he's going to win 2 cups. He was the better goalie in this series against Florida.
Yeah, but Florida.
He was the better goalie 2 years ago against Tampa when they lost to Vasilevsky. The problem was they lost to 2 teams that were just juggernauts. Go look at the game against, right? So the Florida was the much better team than the Rangers were in the series, right?
Yes.
But every game was a 1-goal game. That's
just like the Boston
every
series.
Game was a 1-goal game.
Just like the Boston series.
And then even what was it against Tampa 2 years ago? I believe every game except for Game 6 was a 1-goal game.
Right. Just like Edmonton.
It was unfortunately Jacob Trouba 2 years ago when they were winning 2-0 in the game decided to take a bad cross check against Kucherov, and the whole series got turned upside down.
It's funny. The best the Rangers played in that series was when Florida got out of their scheme, and the only time Florida got out of their scheme was when they were on the power play.
They never got out of their scheme. But anyway,
when they were on the power play, that was it. Then the Rangers were able to get offense.
But let's get to the Stanley Cup final, which starts tomorrow. Finally, and it is a good matchup. It's not the matchup that I think obviously the NHL wanted. They want their New York Edmonton. I mean, they wanted McDavid, and they wanted McDavid basically. They wanted McDavid on Broadway at the Garden. That's what they wanted. And then I told Tim Peel last week. I said you should. Tim Peel wanted that too. I said, well, then you should have come out of retirement. He goes, they wouldn't let me back in the league. I said, well, then I mean, but look, the NHL did want that. They wanted because of the way Shesterkin was playing. He was playing like a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and Connor McDavid's the best player in the league. And you get that at Madison Square Garden. That's ratings galore, especially on Sportsnet and hockey. I mean, that's out of control what the rate should be. I mean, you're going to get ratings with Florida, but it's not going to be the. I think you're getting the best team in the Eastern Conference. You are getting the best team in the Eastern Conference, but you're not getting the sexy matchup that you did want, where it's New York, Edmonton, 2 storied franchises that have been long wanting that Stanley Cup forever.
You got to love hockey to watch this finals. Nobody who's
I think people will watch it because of McDavid. I think they'll watch it because of McDavid. I think the Florida aspect is killer.
He's a great player in the wrong city.
Edmonton?
Yeah.
Why is it? Oh, Speedy, are you curious about this? What is it? What?
Wrong city? I don't know about that.
Wrong city.
Why?
Because you can't market Edmonton players. Who cares?
He wouldn't be in the cup if that was the case.
No, but I'm saying you can't. These guys. He's in Edmonton. Who cares? First of all, he's in the Western Conference, which is the lower conference as far as ratings are concerned, and he's in like the boondocks in the Western Conference.
Oh, you're really gonna disrespect Edmonton like that? What do you mean? I think they're just as popular as Winnipeg.
Do you have
they're more popular
Edmonton
than Winnipeg. I think they're more popular than Calgary. I think they're more popular than Vancouver.
I don't know. I just saw the Vancouver Riots show on ESPN. I don't think that was popular.
I mean, look, I would say the rankings for the Canadian teams, I think obviously goes Toronto 1, Montreal 2. And I would say Edmonton's Speedy. Would you say Edmonton's 3? Or would you say
Vancouver? I think Vancouver's 3.
I think it probably would say Edmonton. I think Vancouver fans are not far behind, but I think.
And then Calgary's there, then Winnipeg's there.
Yeah.
I mean, Calgary's popular. Calgary is. Yeah. I don't know how Calgary.
Winnipeg has to be last, probably just because they left. They had to move.
And how did Calgary not win a Stanley Cup with Chuck and Gaudreau and Bax and Markstrom and all? How did they not even sniff how did they not even get there to a Cup final with those?
So you're saying Edmonton has like a national fan base?
I think they do.
I think they're.
But the historic with Gretzky and all those teams, I think that's what does it. They have a brand. They have a brand new arena, which is a gorgeous arena.
I'm talking. They're not like. I'm talking like Are they the San Francisco 49ers of hockey? Where would you rank them as far as comparing them to another sports team as far as national recognition? Are they like the San Diego Padres of hockey? Where are they as far as appeal?
That's what I recognize as San Diego Padres. Now that's just disrespectful. I mean, come on. What are you doing? You're just disrespecting Edmonton like that.
Do you have Edmonton viewers?
I don't know. Speedy looks at the numbers. Speedy, do we have Edmonton viewers? Probably do. Well, we're gonna lose them now.
Oh, yep. Congratulations. The game.
Screw this guy. Who's this?
We'll be censored out of Edmonton.
Screw this guy. Now we're never getting on Sportsnet now. Damn it.
It's snug from Edmonton. Does Snug live in Edmonton?
No, he lives in Sacramento.
Okay.
I'll move to Edmonton to save it.
Snug thinks that McDavid should sign with San Jose. Meanwhile,
I almost got Panarin.
Meanwhile, did you see the report? Carolina's about to trade Jake Genso's rights to Chicago.
No, I didn't.
Really?
Wow.
Well, listen, you can only say you're rebuilding for so long and you finish in last place every season. I'm just saying. Like, it's at a point where, listen, Chicago's got it rough right now. The Cubs have been a disaster this year with Counsell as the manager. The White Sox are awful. The Bears are getting a new stadium, and we don't even know if their quarterback's going to work out. With Williams.
I don't know if they're getting this new stadium. They have a lot of problems.
No, they're definitely going to get it, I think. The Bulls are a joke. They think they have a championship window when the window was never even opened. It wasn't even cracked. And the Blackhawks are just in a mitigated disaster right now, and they have a really talented, young, up-and-coming superstar in Connor Bedard, who every player in the league for some reason wants to beat the crap out of him. I don't understand it, but, I mean, I think when we look at this final, it's going to be tough. Listen, you're a Bruins fan. You've seen them play Florida. I'm a Ranger fan. I've seen them play Florida. Speedy, you too. It's a nightmare. They don't stop. They're like a wave that just keeps coming and coming.
It's weird.
The puck doesn't leave the offensive zone ever. They'll hold it there 4 minutes. They'll dump it in again, and they'll get a whole line change come on, and then that line will keep it going. And we're not talking about. Meanwhile, in this series, like Kachuk, I think only had one goal in the series against the Rangers. It was more of like Barkov had like 2, but there was also like Sammy Reinhart, who was struggling. He had 60 goals on the season, I believe, right? 59. He scored a bunch then also. He's a free agent. They got him from Buffalo for essentially nothing. Average, it was a
Good
joke.
job, Buffalo.
It was a joke. They screwed that up again, Buffalo. And then freaking Carter Verhaeghe. They signed him out of the blue as a free agent. He comes here. He scores 35 goals. He's got 10 goals in the playoffs. Aaron Ekblad is the best defensive defenseman probably in the NHL when he's healthy, would you say? I mean, look at their defensive blue line. It's not sexy. You look at like Oliver Ekman-Larsson on your third pair, who everybody thought, he's washed up. He was traded to where? He went to Vancouver. Washed up. Goes to Florida. His career's rejuvenated. Looks like the guy in Arizona from 4 years ago. Paul Maurice is the best head coach in the league that hasn't won a championship yet, in my opinion.
Well, that's going to change.
That will change. And then you have, of course, Edmonton with, you're going to have McDavid, you have Draisaitl, you have Hyman, you have Evander Kane. So they got weapons. They got,
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there. And then they got, what's his name? Henrique, who they got the deadline. So they have weapons. But
look at they beat. They beat.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to. Look at here's where the Florida Panthers are. They're 12-5 in the playoffs against, you ready? Andre Vasilevsky, Jeremy Swayman, and Igor Shesterkin. 12-5 against those three. Three of the best goalies in the league. And none of
But I think the point you miss is that stylistically, they're 3 totally different teams. Like the Rangers and Boston and Tampa are 3 and they're able to put their will on every of those teams, shut them down offensively. Hello, can you guys hear me? Josh, text me if you can hear me.
All right, let's get now
Oh.
back in. Hey, Speedy's here.
Okay, I can hear you now.
All right, we're good now. Here we go. We're all back. All right, that was exciting. So anyway, as we were saying, sports radio at its finest. Speedy Petey, everybody, though. He did fix it.
He did fix it.
He fixed it. He panicked, though. You ever see it's when Speedy's nervous, he like, whoa, you
Hey,
gotta
look.
like, talk him off a ledge.
Come on. I'm just a guest host, so it's not like,
So,
come
anyway,
on.
I was saying, we were saying before,
No, I was just making the point that they beat 3 teams with 3 totally different styles. And all 3 of their teams, they were able to put their will on them. Totally shut down their best offensive players, control their zone. Their schemes are just too good. It's not even the talent. They're just so good at the style of play.
I mean, look at also the superstars that they've shut down too, from Artemi Panarin and Mika Zibanejad to David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand to Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos. These are all guys that are superstars that they've completely had shut down this postseason at ease. And Andrei Barkov is at the forefront of it. He's the best two-way center in the league. He forechecks as well as anybody can. We saw it in the series, like Stamkos, Marchand, and Zibanejad could not get anything going in their series against.
Yeah, their breakouts are great. Their breakouts out of their own end are clean and smooth. They're just really good. They control the offensive zone really well.
Bobrovsky needs to make a big save when they need him to.
Right.
And they have a sound defense. They play they don't really have anybody pinch in. They're stay-at-home defensemen. That's what they do. I mean, except if you're,
They play all 3 zones. They'll cut you off at center ice and go right back on offense constantly.
They make you turn the puck over like crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I really don't see how Edmonton. I mean, it's going to be like, I look at it like all these series. Everyone's going to look at it like, oh, we only lost by a goal or 2. We're in this game. And then all of a sudden, when you lose your 4th game by a goal or 2, you go like, man.
Yeah, no. And everything like that. Well, we're just about done here. So before we end it, I'm going to say, I say Florida in 5.
I'm going to say, just like all these series, I hope it goes 6. I'll give Florida in 6.
Okay.
But
Florida, I really think Florida could dominate this.
I like Florida as well. I think Edmonton's defense has to be given some credit too with the way.
No, it is, and that's the thing. And I mean, their best defenseman has not played well this playoff at Darnell Nurse.
No, but Evan Bouchard has been one of the best in the playoffs, and they also did a lot of the same things that Florida did to the Rangers. They took out Dallas's top 6 very well.
I want to see Ekblad and what he does against McDavid. That's the key matchup.
Sure.
Because they're going to put McDavid every time he's on the ice. Ekblad's going to be out there. And you're going to ask yourself, okay, now the best offensive defenseman in the league against the best player all around, who's going to skate 110 miles an hour, right, Speedy? That's according to, according to somebody at this network, and everything like that. Skates faster than a car. But it's crazy that they're only minus 150 too. Florida, they're not a heavy favorite in this series. I thought it'd be
minus 150 is pretty.
Not huge. It's not
That's
huge.
pretty big.
I thought it'd be bigger.
So what's the, if you want to bet Edmonton, what do you get, like plus 135, 140?
I have to check. Speedy, you want me to check or you want to check?
I don't know how to look up those numbers.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
Those numbers always confuse me with the betting.
Okay.
Bet. I'll just do bet MGM.
Of course, Carl says, "Let's go Panthers."
Yeah. Meanwhile, come on, Carl. We all know what you really like. But he is from Florida. He lives in Florida now. He makes that his home.
Yeah, he adopted both teams.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's easy.
Yes, Carl. I have Panthers in 6.
Minus 1 plus 115.
So that's that's ridiculous. Yeah. I will say my cousin who lives in Florida,
I don't want to discredit Florida. I mean, I don't want to discredit Edmonton, but I mean, I don't think the teams are really that evenly matched.
You don't. Let me tell you, when you look at the teams going in, you're never impressed with Florida that much. But when you watch them play, you just lose to them every time.
Yep, it's always a 1-goal game. Every
It's
game
a one-goal game.
Once they get a lead on you, it's impossible.
And the shots on goal, when they really shut you down, the shots on goal disparity becomes
once they get a lead
ridiculous.
on you, it's done. It's over. It's done. Cold a day. Like I knew after Game 6 when they scored the first goal, it was who was it? It was Reinhardt or Barkov scored the first goal in Game 6 against the Rangers. I said it's done. It's over. Everybody's like, "Well, you quit fast." I said, "No, I've seen this before."
Plus, you're a quitter.
They're gonna play shutdown defense and
and you're a quitter. So let's not quit that.
I mean, that's not about quitting. It's just I've seen this team when they're. It goes back to the Boston series. Look at the one game that Tampa won in that series. I think what was it, like a 6-4?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
That was Bobrovsky's worst game of the playoff.
Yeah, it's just
Even when Bobrovsky had a bad game, the team still scored 4 goals. So I mean, it's like
the margin of victory is very small, but it's very consistent. I mean, they'll beat you in overtime. They'll just win. They'll win. And you walk away thinking you should have won the game, but in the end, you end up losing the series.
Yeah. All right, well, that's about it for today. Before we go, of course, we have the You're Better Than That segment. Dad, we'll start with you first. So that means Speedy, you'll go next. You can't count the computer.
No.
I
was considering it.
And then I'll go third.
Neil Smith, you're better than that. You coward! You coward! No, that's not my. All right, I apologize if he's watching.
I don't think so.
But I think my problem. I'm going to say something. The NHL playoff final schedule is ridiculous. This is going to go on. If it goes 7 games, it's going to go almost 2.5 weeks. Because of all the days off between these games.
Can I just say one thing about it, though, really quickly? I mean, the travel is 3,000 miles, and none of the flights, now they are riding a charter,
yes,
but none of the flights.
They're not taking buses, they're not taking a bus. So.
No. But none of the flights that are like the media people, none of them are straight. There's no nonstops. Everything is a layover. That's for one problem. Then also the time change is a 3-hour time change. So I think you got to give a little bit of empathy to that. I understand.
There are multiple 2-day offs while they're in this.
Final teams in the history of the league.
I think there are multiple days off when they're staying in the same city. So
it's 3,000. There's no nonstop flights for the media. And
yes, but there might be 2 games off while they're playing Florida between games 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying? Like on non-travel times, it's not 1 and 2 are just a day off, and then there's 2 days off between 3. No, there's multiple days off while the teams are in the same city.
I like what Snug said. He says, "Of course, because nobody wants to go to Edmonton."
That's right. Edmonton's having a tough show.
Edmonton is gonna censor the show now.
Edmonton's getting pantsed this entire episode. Someone intended.
Alberta censorship laws are going to be coming for your dad.
My dad, Snug's added to the problem.
Oh, no, Snug's going to lobby for it, of course.
Snug doesn't give a damn.
Yep, Snug will petition for anything that your dad petitions
for.
Of
course he does.
Come on, Edmonton. What's it doing? I mean, Calgary has the Stampede. Vancouver has the beautiful scenery and stuff. What are you doing, Edmonton? What's the biggest? What is oil refinery?
When the draft happens in Edmonton.
All right. Thanks.
Oil refineries. What's going on in Edmonton? I'm never going there. You kidding me? They'll kill me now.
Well, I'm curious when Speedy comes up with what this thing's to do with.
You know what? I'll put in the private chat. I'll do a trip for 15 best things to do in Edmonton. You can judge for your best thing accordingly.
All right, say it. What is it?
Oh, okay.
Number 1.
I want to hear the list.
Of course. All right. Top top attractions in Edmonton.
Oh my God, what's the first thing be like the Rogers? Where they play?
Oh no, the first one is listed as a mall. It looks like it has this giant roller coaster inside. Fort Edmonton Park is number 2. Mootart Conservatory, Elk Island National Park with a bison picture. Oh, another one with a water park. And the rest of
You tell me the Rogers Center's not on there? That's insulting.
Rogers Center doesn't look like it.
That's insulting.
So see, I'm already right. It sounds like the New Jersey Mall is the best thing to do in Edmonton.
American Dream.
Sounds like the American Dream Mall is number 1.
Mall of America in Minnesota.
I didn't rank on Minnesota. Minnesota's a quality.
You know, Errol said the same thing. He loves Minnesota. He said the same thing.
Yeah. I'm just saying. So when the number 1 thing to do in Edmonton is visit the mall, I think I'm, validated. That's all I'm saying.
God.
This one's listed as North Saskatchewan River Valley, which that's very scenic, actually.
That looks nice, but where is it ranked, though?
No, I went to a different site. That was number 1. Then the mall was number 2 on this list. The national park with the all the bison, the many.
Travel 5,000 miles. Travel 5,000 miles, see Roosevelt Field. I mean, come on, what kind of T-shirt is that?
Yeah, it'd have to be probably part of a larger Canadian road trip though, to do that kind of thing. I mean, these pictures in this article are very scenic, which is nice. But
so I guess Edmonton, you're better than that. I guess Dad's going with.
That's Edmonton. That's right.
Speedy, what's yours?
I'll just go for a general one. You were talking about how horrific they were earlier. They were on historically bad pace, and now they are on a 15-game losing streak with their manager going crazy. We'll go with the Chicago White Sox.
Nice. That's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You're better than that segment is I'm going to go with the NBA because we had to wait a week and a half for the NBA Finals to start. And every game is at 8:30 at night or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. During the week, they had the lowest Game 1 rating since 2007 between the Spurs and the Cavaliers. The lowest rated non-COVID Game 1.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Finals. It's horrible. And this is supposed to have juice because, again, when you look at where everything is, it's a matter of Boston, which is supposed to be this big sports town. And
also a national team.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have Dallas, which is another one that's a big sports town. So I'm trying to figure out what is happening, and I'm wondering is it the time? Is it just because they will count people that tuned in. They don't count obviously if you tune out. They're still going to count the numbers of who watched, even if you change the channel. But it was the lowest rated Game 1. That to me is an alarming thing to see. Now I think the next game is when? Sunday?
No, I think tomorrow. Saturday, isn't it? Saturday.
No, it's Sunday.
Is it Sunday?
You get 2 days off.
It's another thing. I don't understand
They
it.
had a week and a half. See, them I don't get because their travel's easy. Their travel's simple.
They just don't want to be on the weekend nights because they know it's a ratings fiasco.
They don't want to go against the Stanley Cup. That's the thing. They don't want to. They don't want to do it the same night.
I think Saturday night's just a bad night.
That's when Game 1 of the Stanley Cup is tomorrow, and it's in freaking Florida, and I would say it's pretty juiced up. But I'm just saying NBA and NHL too, with your scheduling. I think the season should start October 1st and end in the beginning of June, end of May. That's when it should start.
Don't you think there's just enough hockey? I mean,
remember, I think training camp starts in what? Like I think once the cup is over, I think free agency starts in what, like 2 weeks?
A month and a half. It's like it's crazy.
And then they already started. Bruce Boudreau was telling a story on NHL Radio today how the Stanley Cup ended, and 5 days later he was already setting out his schedule to players about training camp.
Yeah,
it's like it's so funny. I forget somebody made a joke that holy God, they're going to be playing in the Stanley Cup. And Sam Reinhart just got signed by the Vancouver Canucks during the Stanley Cup game. It's crazy.
The hockey covers the whole school year. Hockey is played.
It does.
In-season tampering.
Oh man! I tell you, listen, it is insane though. That literally like the Cup final could end June 24th.
Yeah.
That's wild. And the finals have be the NBA what, June 27th? I mean, like, what are we doing? So NBA, NHL, you're better than that. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Check us out on worldwidesportsradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, all smart speakers, and so much more. Check out the Sports Loudmouth with, of course, Speedy Petey, Errol Marks on that show, Fish, and Tommy Scoops. Did you ever figure out for me why Tommy does the wink and the whole finger thing at the end?
No.
Okay, so you gotta figure that out because it's gotta change. I don't mind it, but like it's a little. That's like 1983. Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? This is something unique. The Wise Guy. We have the betting show. And of course, your game on. Don't forget to check out 103.9 FM, the All I Do Is Radio Network with Errol Marks and Speedy Pete, where you can hear Errol Marks scream and yell for 45 minutes. It's a wonderful program. Snowman in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m. Monday. Is it Tuesday, Thursday?
He's consistently Tuesday, Thursday. He also did do it today. Well, on
I
Friday.
did see that this morning. I
Yeah.
was shocked. And then, of course, you have Kenny's show at 12 o'clock, which is always just. So, I mean, one moment you'll see Kenny Tucker, the next moment you might see the abominable snowman in the room. You never know.
Yeah, and then I might see him smoking something.
Yeah, it could be another thing too. Snug says thank you to Nelson for filling in tonight and doing an amazing job.
Thank you. You're welcome, son. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
You know, and everything like that. So to me, it was great.
Without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. That's why we appreciate the viewers.
Now the real question: if you and Snug would ever meet up, but you were forced to do it in Edmonton, would you do it?
It would not happen in Edmonton.
Well, listen, Eric will be back next week. I appreciate, of course, my dad always for filling in when he can and everything like that. It's great talk, great sports talk, banter back and forth. So, of course, for Nelson Silverberg, for Speedy Petey, for Eric Bowe, and to all the fans out there, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I'm Josh Silverberg. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you next week. Enjoy the NHL Stanley Cup this weekend. Enjoy the rest of the finals in 2027, because that's probably when it's going to end. We'll talk to you then, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. This is Game On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.